Podcast. Well, good morning and good afternoon, wherever you guys joining us. We're really excited you decide to spend the next hour here with us to understand and learn how we can help you around container operations and give you that two sets that you can collect, understanding the insight of container operations and how to absorb better in your container environments with Amazon CloudWatch here. My name is Lucy Hartung. I'm the worldwide specialist on cloud ops from AWS. And here with me are three of my fantastic colleagues here. We have Steve, we have Siva, we have Rodrigue, and we have a full hour pack agenda for you to really understand how you can leverage various different tool sets within a AWS ecosystem to help you improve your container operation. So thank you for your time, and let's get a start and let's take a look at what we're going to cover for the next hour. So here's what we have agenda for you. And first, we're just going to have a quick level set, right? Understanding what are some customer challenges today in the container environment in terms of monitoring, observe in containers. And then we're going to introduce the Amazon CloudWatch container observability. And we have a very exciting topic. This is the latest public review feature in CloudWatch, EKS OTel Container Insights. And we have Steve will go dive in deeper. This feature literally is just became public preview probably less than a week ago. So fresh out off the press here, and you're gonna take the first view of what that looks like and how can that help you in your EKS environment. Then we have demos from various different folks. So Steve is going to provide you some demos around OTel Container Insight, and then Siva is going to provide demos around how correlating the container environment at application layer with APN. And then Rodrigue is going to cover some of the container insight with Grafana if we have the time. We certainly want to leave you with some guidance and resources to help you get started if you find our content is valuable. And then we will leave some time in the end for Q&A. So a couple housekeeping things. Giving is a full pack agenda. We want this session to be interactive, right? However, we also don't want to disturb in the flow of the presentation, the demo. So if at any point, if you have questions, making sure you leverage the chat, the chat, and asking us questions, so we can interact you with via the chat, answer your questions. We don't have to wait until the end for the Q&A. So making sure you definitely asking questions via the chat. So with that being said, let's kind of dive right in to start. Just a quick level set, right? Why customers are building on containers, right? Why are you building on containers? Um, First foremost is accelerating innovations, right? Now you can offload the application operation infrastructure, that piece of a management, to AWS. And if you build on EKS, ECS, right? And then really focus your time building the application features rather than managing underlying infrastructures. So help you developing your features faster and faster to market. Second of all, customers are also tell us we like to build in containers to reduce that total cost of ownership, right? We only pay as you go, right? So we don't have to really manage the whole infrastructure. We can offload that operational overhead and pay as you consume the infrastructure on containers. And then third piece is definitely the security. Security is very important for every customer, right? We want to making sure you build in a secure environment, and then you be able to not worry about is my security being breached as I'm building. So this building on the containers actually standardize that, because the containers are making sure we checking on automatic system patch updates, regulating isolations, workloads, right? So provide you that native security services through AWS ecosystem. So that's also very appealing for a lot of customers want to offload that security piece working with AWS, building on AWS container environments. And then last but not least is really improve that performance and reliability, right? Customers understand that we have the expertise driving the well-architectured outcome in terms of availabilities, reliabilities, and operational excellence. So you don't have to worry that piece when you're building on AWS container environments. So this is what we hear from customers, and I hope this is the reason that you are building in our container environment as well. But let's pause for a second. Right now, you decide, okay, great. There's all the benefits of building my applications in the containers, workloads or modern workloads in the containers. How do I absorb them, right? That comes with another sets of challenge. Now, you can accelerate your development, but how do I actually absorb in these environments? Which bring us to the most core challenges where you guys, all of our customers are telling us how they're finding very challenging in the containerized workloads or environments. First is onboarding barriers, right? Just to set up the tools, what to look for, what metrics to collect. A lot of customers have that you know, initial challenge just to understand, hey, how do I instrument various different things? How do I configure across my clusters just to get that set up become challenge for a lot of customers. And then secondly is, what I mentioned, like, hey, now I set it up, like, what do I need to actually collect to surface the insights or absorb the things that I matter to me most, right? Is it just the CPU, just the memory? Do I need to understand how the application layer works, how the tracing works, how the logs works, right? So it's very unclear for a lot of customers how all these pieces kind of come together. And then second, the third piece is about analysis. So what if I already have collecting bunch of metrics, logs, and trace, and how does that actually impact the applications? How does that actually impact the end user experience, right? So a spike in the pod, let's say a pod restarts. What does that mean to my end user? Is my end user interacting with this application or this web app got impacted? Is there any way I can tell, and how can I fix that? And then the next one is looking for guidance, right? A lot of customers come to us saying, "Hey, I want to have opinionated ways of overall visibilities for my observability," and customer looking for prescriptive best practice out of box dashboards that they can have less time setting up the tools, but more time actually investigating the issues, right? So all these are what customers are looking for. And then last but not least is always on every customer's mind is cost. Customers are using various different observability tools out there, and just kind of collecting and just try to understand which tool I'm using, how much it costs. It becomes a challenge. A lot of times, the bills ramp up quickly for customers are on various different tools, and then they're looking really to see how can I reduce that cost but also be able to have that full visibility across the board, right? So this is where we want to set the level. This is type of customer problem and challenge we're here to hoping to solve with container observability. And then container observability, what we mean here is the Amazon CloudWatch Container Insight, right? This is one of the key features in our native AWS observability CloudWatch Container Insight to really surface various different levels of details and metrics and help you to troubleshoot in your container environment. And then with that being said, I do want to pointing out this is kind of very exciting, as I mentioned at the beginning, was the agenda, right? We just announced this feature in public preview less than a week ago. So I would transition to Steve, who is a principal product manager for this feature to dive deep take a look at what is EKS OTel Container Insight looks like and how can we help you address some of your challenges in your container environment. So with that being said, Steve, I'll transition to you. I'll leave up the slide so you don't have to share the screen. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Lucy. Hi, everybody. I'm
Oh,
Steve. Can you hear me okay?
yeah, I can hear
Um,
you. Sorry, I just turned clicked the wrong way, but yeah, I
no
reshared
worries.
the slide. Yeah, here you go.
Thanks, Lucy. So as Lucy mentioned, Container Insights was an existing product that CloudWatch offered. It is opinionated observability for Kubernetes, EKS, and for ECS. And it's available to you one-click opt-in on your cluster or deployed as infrastructure as code. Just recently, last week, we made a major announcement that CloudWatch now supports OpenTelemetry. And this isn't an iteration. This is a total rebuild of the CloudWatch system to support native OpenTelemetry metrics. And as part of that launch, we've partnered with the EKS team as our first truly open telemetry native package to deliver this OTel Container Insights. So what we do is we package all of the open source collectors, CA Advisor, Node Exporter, DCGM, like everything you need for your GPU, accelerated compute, or whatever workloads you're running. We package that as an add-on in the EKS environment, and you can opt into that with a single click. I'll show you where that is in a moment. But this helps you to get started. You don't need to configure your add-on or your OTel collector with the right labeling strategy, the right OTel semantics. All of that is available out of the box. You just enable this add-on, and then the metrics will start appearing in CloudWatch, and you can then visualize using Zeus. So let me show you what it looks like. Okay. Now, the first dashboard that I'm going to show you is the results of collecting Kubernetes metrics from across three different cloud environments. I'm running Kubernetes on AWS and EKS. I'm running a similar cluster in Azure and GCP. All of these metrics are being sent to our CloudWatch OpenTelemetry OTLP endpoint. And I'm now visualizing, this is actually a Grafana dashboard, Amazon managed Grafana. So I'm able to slice and dice all of these metrics across these different cloud environments. This example is basically demonstrating that Kubernetes could be running anywhere. These tools that we're building in terms of the metric data store, the OTLP endpoint, the PromQL querying, it's available wherever you're running your Kubernetes, whether it's on-prem or in AWS or a different cloud provider. Within AWS itself, I'm going to take EKS as the example. When you go into the cluster, there is an observability tab, and this is where you install the CloudWatch add-on. So you can see here, install CloudWatch Observability add-on. And in this window, you can see there's mention of CloudWatch OTel. So this is the new version of the add-on. And as it says, use the latest version, version 6 and above. When you enter the screen, the latest version is not selected by default. So you do have to select version 6. And once you select version 6, the add-on will dual publish by default to the existing CloudWatch and the OpenTelemetry. You can configure that. There's further configuration that you can do on the add-on, but that's the default behavior. I encourage you to try this out during the month of April because OpenTelemetry metrics are free for the month of April. We have not announced our pricing for OpenTelemetry metrics. So now is a great time to give it a go and see what it looks like. Once you've enabled your Container Insights, you'll find Container Insights dashboards through the left nav. So we have Container Insights under Infrastructure Monitoring. And now in the drop down, you see an EKS OTel option. It's very similar user experience. The UI hasn't changed. What's different is that these visualizations are now powered by PromQL. So if I drill down into a cluster, this page has changed. Let's click on pods and containers. So now you have many more options for grouping your metrics and filtering, all powered by PromQL. So for example, all of the labels that are being sent by our OTel collector, all the OTel semantics. So you see the K8 labels, those are OTel semantics. And then the AWS semantics, we're also providing several out-of-the-box AWS labels like account ID and region that will help you group and slice and dice your metrics. And then obviously the filtering as well. So this is a subset of the PromQL language. If this is not enough, there is a new feature called Query Studio. And Query Studio allows you to use the full breadth of the PromQL language to slice and dice your metrics. So for example, I can search by a label. I have a resource tag called app name and order pipeline. And now I can find all of the metrics associated with that tag. If you need help getting started with PromQL, there are some sample queries in the top right. We've added a few. There are more coming, particularly the container examples will be added in the next few days. But you can see here, this gives you a head start on getting some useful Prometheus queries. And then if you want to edit the query, you can click on the code button here and you can go into the query itself and start editing. Likewise, if you want to do alarming with PromQL, if you click on alarms, when you create an alarm now, you have two options and you have a PromQL option. So it's a very similar experience for selecting metrics. And then you can add thresholds by applying binary operators, for example, and start building up the thresholds and alerts based on PromQL. So I'll pause there. That's everything I wanted to show you for the new feature set. We're looking forward to your feedback. Please give it a try whilst it's free to use during the month of April. We plan to GA in early May. It's currently available in 5 regions. We will be rolling out more regions at GA. We're currently EKS only, but we're also working with the ECS team to create ECS OTel Container Insights that should be available sometime in late summer. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks, Steve.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Yeah, if you have any questions, I think there's one question comes through the chat. What is a guidance when using CloudWatch versus Amazon Managed Prometheus for EKS monitoring?
Yeah, look, it's really about providing choice. This is an open telemetry native solution. One key difference is CloudWatch currently has 70 plus AWS services publishing vendor telemetry to CloudWatch. That is available to you in the OpenTelemetry data store. I'll maybe just share very briefly where to find that. So if you come to CloudWatch and you look at the settings option in the bottom left, um, there is a new option which says enrich your AWS metrics as OpenTelemetry. So no need for you to create YACE exporters and manage your own egress to AMP for those vendor telemetry metrics. This is a managed solution that will push those metrics to the CloudWatch Open Telemetry, and they'll be available to you to slice and dice with PromQL. So that's one big advantage of using this system for EKS monitoring.
Yeah, so maybe something I can add really quickly. Like we have seen some customer having strong regulations, right? Like as Steve said, it's all about providing options out there for customers. But we have seen customers with like strong regulations to use completely open source tools, right? So some of those customers will probably use managed Prometheus, but now with this new capability of using open telemetry in CloudWatch, we are leaning into open standards. So that also is an option, right? But for some other customers, they're using, for example, open search for logs and fully like all open source managed components, right, on their stack.
Yeah, thanks, Roderick. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, it's all about options, right? We provide to the customers. Depends on how you want to set it up. There's option for you to monitor on the EKS side of the house. So thanks for the demo. If anybody have additional questions, feel free to ask in the chat here. Steve is going to stick around for a little bit to answer some questions. And then now we're going to transition to Siva, who going to show from a different angle of how Container Insights can help you troubleshooting, correlation with application layer of information. So Siva, take it over.
Thank you, Lucy. Let me know if you're able to see my screen.
Yeah, we can see it.
Cool. Hey, everybody. Thank you again for joining the session. My name is Siva. I'm a solutions architect here at AWS. So here, we wanted to talk about container insights, and not only that, how you can use it along with application monitoring to see, how easily you can figure out your mean time to detection or mean time to resolution, right? So like Steve mentioned, today we have container insight support both for EKS and ECS, and the recent EKS OTel also coming up. So you have three different ways you can slice and dice your data from EKS. So currently, in the case of demo, I have a hypothetical pet clinic application running. So in this case, if you have never seen a container insights, when you're coming into CloudWatch under infrastructure monitoring, so you can see the container insights tab. So you can choose whichever container environment you are running on, be it EKS or ECS. So once you have done that, by using the add-on what we talked about, you just enable it. It's just a simple enablement. And once the metrics are coming into this particular solution, you will be able to see this particular out-of-box dashboard. So from here, what you will see. So we do support multi-account setup. If you are running maybe hundreds of accounts, you are running hundreds of clusters. So this will be giving you a single point of view for all your container environments, right? So in this case, currently I have only one cluster. But again, when you're coming here, you will be able to see on a 10,000 foot overview of how your performance and status, in terms of CPU, pod, memory, node, etc. And also, as you know, Kubernetes is having the concept of control plane and data plane. And control plane is managed by AWS, and data plane is owned by you guys, the customers, right? So here you will be able to see the control plane summary. It will be giving you how many QPS or query per second your control plane is receiving it, what is the average latency, and the number of stored objects in your etcd database, and if there are any admission controller policies are running, what is the latency on that. Also, the good news is you might wanted to see, as I said, assume you are running maybe 50 clusters, and then you wanted to see the top 10 clusters by CPU utilization. or top 10 nodes, right? So here is where we are giving you the option to see that again as a high level view. Like you can choose your pod workloads. So be it a micro level, like container level, or be it a macro level, like the cluster level information, you should be able to see from one place. So that is what we are presenting here. And then if you wanted to dig deep into one of the clusters, so in this case, like I have a demo cluster. So when I click on this, so automatically, like I'm going from my top level overview to my cluster level details, right? So here I'm seeing like a lot of options here. Again, going from the macro level cluster view, also like namespace level, or like node level, or pod level, or even at the container, the most minute level you wanted to go, you can go and do that. So here, what are the things you might be able to see? Again, as a matter of fact, the summary information is going to give you like what is the status of my node? Is there any container restarts in the last 3 hour window? So that is what I'm seeing here. And also like what is my CPU utilization and memory utilization? So this is an average in my cluster. So how many workloads are running? So this is an average performance. Then we will be presenting you about your data plane. So in the data plane perspective, again, you will be able to see your CPU and memory utilization from your pod perspective, right? And also like, not only CPU and memory, but also if you're running any network overloads, like, networks information, and then any container restarts. And then from the node perspective, like, what is the file system utilization, if you have any inode utilization, etc. So taking a look into it, like taking a step back, if you're a DevOps engineer, and then if your management is asking a simple question like, "Hey, how our say for example CPUs are behaving," you don't have to run around and then see. So from here you can come here, and then you can see like for my cluster at this last 3 hour window, I'm seeing like this is my level of information, right? So having said that, like we had talked about like node status and capacity and all those things. Again, like we are talking about the control plane as well, because even though like it is managed by AWS, but you wanted to know like how many API server requests you are getting it, how many of them are like what is the latency on it, and then again we talked about the etcd database, like the request duration, etc., right? So this is all about like the infrastructure level. So assume like you are a service operator or you are an SRE, and then if you see like some services are failing, and you wanted to correlate like what is the root cause. And gone are the days like we were looking into like things as different compartments, right? So typically like maybe 2 years back, the DevOps team will say like hey, I am responsible only for my infrastructure, and then if anything is failing with maybe my services, maybe my SRE team or my dev team is responsible. Like those those kind of differences are behaving like they are like the lines are blurring, and then now it is all about, can I get a unified view, right? Whether wherever the issue is happening, be it infrastructure layer, be it database layer, or be it in my application layer, I want to have like a single pane of control, right? So with that one, like let me switch into my application signals. So why we are talking about application signals in the container insights perspective. So let me come here, right? So assume like I am the service operator or service owner for this pet clinic application, and I am seeing like I'm getting a lot of complaints from my customers. They're saying like they're getting a lot of errors or like faults, and I wanted to know like what's going on, right? So I just joined like last week, and then I wanted to know like what's going on here. So with this particular container insights along with application signals, so what happens is I can just click on like I see like a lot of microservices are running. I can get into my one of the microservices. In this case, like there is a front end which is written in Java, and then when I'm enabling it, it's just a simple click enablement. And like Steve mentioned, with the latest version of EKS add-on, by default, we are enabling you the application signal as well. So you don't have to do anything. So once you use the latest version of EKS add-on, you will be automatically like your application signals will be coming into CloudWatch, and then automatically like you will be able to see the dashboard. So before diving into the details, right? So when you're coming from the CloudWatch side, so under application signals, you will be able to see a lot of things here. So if you go to application map, we will be presenting you both your uninstrumented services uninstrumented services. As you could see here, so there are like a lot of tiles here. Some of them are like dotted lines, some of them are straight lines. The ones shown here in the dotted lines, for example, these are all the uninstrumented services. But since these are all running in AWS, we can capture that information and present to you in such a way that we'll be giving you like a lot of details around how these services are behaving. For example, I can easily click on this view mode, and I will be able to give like the details around your red metrics, like my request, my errors and duration, and then latency, etc. And also like how this particular service is behaving with other service. So in this case, like this particular API gateway is calling a bunch of lambdas, and every bit of lambda, even though they are uninstrumented, we can present to you the basic level of information. So once you decided like I wanted to enable this, like this particular service, for example, like going back to the example where we are coming from. So this is my out of the box dashboard. From here, I'm seeing like my pet clinic frontend. So my pet clinic frontend, I am seeing like again the proactive monitoring is the way to go, right? So here I'm giving all the statistics around like how this particular service is behaving. My different SLOs, how many of them are healthy, how many of them are not healthy, and also any dependencies. Am I depending on any of the services? Am I depending on DynamoDB or like S3, for example? All those dependencies are available. If at all I am running any canaries, I will be shown here, and also like any real user monitoring. So the TLDR is if you wanted to have a unified view of your application. So you don't have to open like a million tabs and then going from one tab to another. Every bit of information, again, as I said, like be it infrastructure layer or database layer or your application itself, every bit of information is available from one place. So not only that, we can see like we are seeing like the last 3 hour data here. So I can see here like last compared to last 3 hours, I'm getting like there is a 0.1% less request I'm getting it. But at the same time, I'm getting like 0.1% more false I'm getting. So as a service operator, this is concerning me because I might want to fix it even before my customers are going to be complaining about it, right? And also as a proactive mechanism, we are giving you the operational audit. So here you are not setting any alarms, you are not setting any SLOs, but we are looking into your data and then we are telling you proactively like, hey, these are all some of the candidates that might be going wrong, right? So better you can take a look into it. For example, the first tile says like, there is an availability decline that is happening around 3 o'clock today, and then that has failed with a out of memory error. So if I am a service operator, I might want to go ahead and then see because there is a sample trace is also available. So I just click on it and then it will take me to the exact line why it is failing, right? So as a service owner, it is easy for me because I'm not doing any kind of operation on this. I have not invested any time on this, but application signals is providing me that intelligence to me. And also we are having something called change indicators. So if at all in the last 3 hour window, if somebody has deployed a new version of the service, it will be coming here so that I can easily correlate like, if that failure is happening because of this particular problem, right? And along with that, you will be able to see your red metrics. So going back, like, again, like, we are seeing there is some SLO failure and all those things. So there are some faults happening here. So I can easily click on like, the peaks and valleys are there. Click on one of the peaks and valleys, and then it is easily going to say like, there are some 500 errors happening. And as you could see here, my left-hand side is my metrics. My right-hand side is not only the traces and also the logs. So in addition to that, I can easily deep dive into my infrastructure layer as well. I can go into my node information, pod information, etc. And if I wanted to know the root cause of this, why this particular SLO is failing, I just click on a random trace here. And then this will take me to an X-ray page wherein my request lineage is coming. So in this case, the customer is coming into the front end is calling a visit service, and that's where like it is failing. And in addition to that, like we are seeing the spans timeline. So here I can see like the exception, including the line number. And as you see, I told you like just a couple of links, not only the proactive monitoring. If something is failing, just click on it, and then you should be able to do that. So you might be asking a question like, hey, why we are talking about container insights and then how you are correlating this application performance monitoring with the container insights. We are not done yet, right? So here you are seeing something called hosted in column. So here, if it is running in EC2, ECS, or EKS, it will take you to there. So I just click on it, and this time it's a bit different. So I don't have to know, or I don't have to worry about where it is running, or which cluster it is running, which pod it is running, which namespace it is running. I don't have to know any of this information. So even if I join this particular team, like maybe a week back, with this particular information, all this information are pre-populated for me. For example, if you see in this left-hand side, it is coming from the demo cluster in the default namespace and this particular part. And then it will tell you like exactly like at that particular point in time, what is my CPU utilization, what is my memory utilization, and how many number of parts are running, containers are running, etc. Right? So with that one, like not only the infrastructure layer, even if something is failing in my RDS, from application signals, I can easily go to my database insights, and then I can easily pinpoint the query that is taking a long time, right? So using this way, like you should be able to see all these things, whether you are starting from infrastructure layer or you are starting from application layer. It's easy for you to figure out if something is going wrong. So not only at when something is going wrong, but also when you wanted to monitor it, you can take all these particular dashboards, and then you can easily figure out like at any point in time how your applications are performing or how your containers are performing. So with that one, like we talked about what are the information we are providing it from the application side, and also like infrastructure side, like container side. So the same option is available in ECS as well. You can go ahead and then figure out, and then also like the OTel concept, which Steve just now talked about. This particular option is also available. So we have like multiple ways you can take the data from your containers, and then you can figure out like how your containers are behaving along with your applications. So with that one, like I would like to pass the ball to Roderick. Maybe he can talk about the open source version of things, because I know there are so many customers who are running containers. They would like to go with Prometheus and Grafana, for example, with AWS managed Prometheus and then AWS managed Grafana. So that is what like we have some demos available, and over to you, Roderick, to talk about.
Yeah, so I think there was a question on how to. I think I was answering a few questions, but maybe you can take over. But there was a question about how do you see the change markers in application signals?
Yeah. So is this available in private cluster? Yeah, I think he has. So let me look into the question. For existing application that are not instrumented by OTel SDKs, what are the options? Can I leverage sidecar pattern? Yes. So as I said, like, and I shown you by default, even though if you're not instrumenting anything, we'll be telling you that one. So you don't have to use OTel SDKs for it. So OTel, as you know, it is having the concept of auto instrumentation and then manual instrumentation. So if you are using any of the language like Java, Python, .NET, and Node.js, by default, we will be taking the metrics and then we will be showing the details, right? So your question, like to answer your question, as I said, like, if it is one of the language that you are supporting it, like, these 4 languages, it's easy if you wanted to enable it. It's just a one-click deployment. And if you are not, for example, if you are running like in a Go or like, other PHP and all those things, the support is coming up, but still we have some OTel endpoints wherein you can send your metrics as well as logs. So that's the way to go. Hope that answered your question.
Yeah. I think there was so the change marker question was related to the deployments. I think this is something that you get with Lambda. If you modify your Lambda functions, will highlight automatically, and I guess ECS as well. I'm not sure if we have an endpoint to do like a custom change marker deployment. Do you know if we do?
Yeah. So for the change monitor, sorry, change marker or change indicator, we call it as, we do see like, if it is a container related workload, we consider like, every deployment as like, a change indicator, if it is be it ECS or EKS. If it is coming from other things like EKS and all those things, we do have the pattern available. Please look into the documentation so that you can see how we are categorizing each thing as a deployment, so that that particular deployment will be considered as a change indicator, and then we can show it. And yes, Python is included for our instrumentation. And the four languages I was talking about is Python, .NET, Node.js, and Java. So those are all the four languages today we have available for our instrumentation support. For all other languages, today you can use the OTel endpoints, but we are planning to add support for other languages as well. Thanks for the question.
All right, let me share my screen real quick. So what I wanted to show really quickly about Prometheus, Container Insights and OpenTelemetry. We have, I think, as someone pointed out, we have a service for Prometheus that allows customer to really scale within the metrics ingestion and then send Prometheus metrics, right? So what we wanted to really talk about today was manage Prometheus. It's actually super simple. So it gets it allows you to create what we call a workspace. A workspace is a container for your metrics. It's a data store for your metrics. It has alert manager and recording rules and all the Prometheus constructs. And really, when you create, let's say, demo April. Right. So when you create the workspace, in a few seconds, you will get an endpoint to send data using the remote write protocol, and then you will get the query URL that you can use to query your data. It's essentially that you have recording rules and alert manager, and then we give you also some monitoring back, like how you track the data you're sending to us, how the alert manager and recording rules are performing and stuff like that. You can also configure quite a lot. We have a set of blogs how to govern your Prometheus workspace and architectures with Prometheus. I will send that in the chat. Something I wanted to do though is to show you. So we have a managed Grafana version here. So managed Grafana allows you to, it's just a package version of Grafana maintained by AWS. So you can really visualize your workloads, even if it's coming from AWS, outside of AWS. If you know Grafana already, it's just we take just the management of Grafana for you. And we give you a URL, we make sure this scales, and you can focus on your applications, right? So once you create the workspace, I think what we didn't really show in depth today, with CloudWatch support for OpenTelemetry, this becomes quite interesting. So if you go to, so this is a Grafana workspace I have, right? And in the you can see here in the data sources, I can have a Prometheus endpoint, but this is actually CloudWatch. So with the OpenTelemetry endpoints that we have released for CloudWatch, you can actually query PromQL. So it's not an abstraction layer. It's not a translation on top of it. You can actually use PromQL, because if you use Grafana, manage Grafana, or your own version of Grafana, you can configure CloudWatch as a data source, but using Prometheus, the query language. So here, for example, this will be monitoring that the region that you use and in Amazon AWS.com, right? With the authentication method, we require SigV4, which is our mechanism, authentication mechanism for data plane services. But so once you do that, you can have the same query experience that you get in the CloudWatch console in managed Grafana or your Grafana. So here you can see all the, for example, I can pick duration. I think there is Lambda provided duration metric. Yeah, duration. So this duration is coming from Lambda, because I have turned on enrichment for the metrics, as we have shown here. If you go to settings, and you go to enable OTel. So essentially, all the AWS resources that you use gets republished in OpenTelemetry format, and then you get all the the AWS enrichment tags, labels, AWS accounts, region, and all the tags associated to your resource, basically. So you can use that as queries, query your resources, add them to dashboards, and then, for example, we have turned on Container Insights. We are working on republishing the Container Insights dashboards in Grafana, but I can show you quickly. For example, this is like the main containers view, but this is using the OTel backend and the PromQL backend. So the queries are done in PromQL quite fast, and then you can have a lot more granularity in the data pointization. So this is the same view with container CPU requests and memory, networking, and all those dimensions. We will share. I think I've shared the link of the blog post. So I think you need to watch this. We have also other references in the blog for projects that we are building to use Container Insights in Grafana. If you are interested about this, yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
And
Thanks, Roger. Is there more you're looking to show?
I think
Okay.
just
Yeah.
really quickly, just to close down. But also when you use Grafana, I think that we have more like a more interesting story, because now you can have your like AWS application signals data directly in Grafana. I don't know, for some reason it doesn't work now. But you can have like the traces and the metrics and the logs, metrics in OpenTelemetry, traces in OpenTelemetry, and logs using the logs insights query. I think that's all. I don't know why my trace map is not showing up, but yeah, this is what I wanted to show.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Rodrigue. I think I see there's a couple questions in the chat. I don't know, any of you want to bring some of the questions in answer. I see they're being answered. But let me know if there's anything you guys want to kind of address. With a broader audience here, was the questions in the chat. Yeah, I'm very excited to see all these demos, right? And demonstrate kind of how you can surface these container insights from various different angles, whether it's going correlations with applications, whether it was showing in a Grafana dashboard, and then the latest public preview was the EKS OTel metrics, and these are all very exciting for our customers to try out. And I do want to kind of do a public announcement here. This session is where, sharing these informations, driving awareness of the various different features, how you can leverage, making sure if you are looking for hands-on experience, our cloud operation enablement series page on AWS Connected Communities. I'll just share here one more time. Bookmark. This is where you're kind of one place, like single place to go to look at all upcoming events and hands-on workshops that you can get sign up for. Events like this will be more webinar style, and then we also have workshops that actually give you hands-on experience. So making sure you check out our future events.
So,
With that,
so
go ahead.
so real quick, I put the link also in the chat. Tomorrow we have another container session. I think tomorrow is a live stream with some of the engineers building container insights and OpenTelemetry in CloudWatch. So yeah, tune in if you are interested as well. So this will be tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks.
I think, Rodrigue, there is a question on enablement. So I think I see a question about maybe if you want to talk about something now.
What is the question? So CloudWatch
add-on included managed Prometheus metric collection as well. So maybe you wanted to clarify on the scrapper part and all those one more time.
So let me read the question. CloudWatch include managed Prometheus metrics collection. No. So the CloudWatch, the CloudWatch container, I guess this you're referring to Container Insights add-on. The add-on just scripts Prometheus metrics, right? And then the metrics that get scraped ships to CloudWatch metrics. Once it's in CloudWatch metrics store, you can query it with Grafana, with OpenTelemetry. So you can query Prometheus metrics that are scraped and then shipped into CloudWatch using Grafana. Or you can, like if you have your collector, you can scrape your Prometheus metrics and using an OpenTelemetry collector. The collector would convert Prometheus metrics into OpenTelemetry. It gets shipped to CloudWatch, and you can query it on Prometheus. On with PromQL. I hope that clarifies things.
Yeah, let us know if you have more questions. Yeah, I just came back and share my screen again as what Rodrigue showed, right? This is the one QR code. You can actually take all the resources here, check our interactive demos, the cloud operation show that Rodrigue mentioned that has another deep dive on this is also there, and our best practice guides, one observability workshops, and then application signal demos as well. So just one QR code, you can take it with you and start kind of getting start learning about all these features. And with that being said, is there any we're opening up for Q&A. I know we're kind of already like going through answering questions, but are there any additional questions folks that have we're kind of opening the floor. If you want to unmute yourself, asking question directly, feel free to do so. If you just want to ask in the chat or so, this is the time. Yeah, I see somebody unmute yourself. Is there a question out there? Okay, guess not. Well, yeah, sorry. Is there a question out there? Okay. Well, yeah, thanks. I mean, and it's definitely was very interactive. We have a lot of folks asking questions through the chat, so we kind of answered it through the sessions. And I just want to leave you guys with really appreciate your time. Decide to take an hour of your busy day and joining us and learn about container observabilities and how we approach that. How we, hopefully this is valuable for you in your day-to-day life. And before you leave, I just want kind of ask for everybody, please complete our session survey. This is very important for us to understand, how well we do in the sessions. If you are looking for further engagement, whether on the latest OTel, EKS OTel Container Insight, which is, just really recently announced, making sure you share your info in the survey. We will be, reaching out directly if you want a further engagement. So thanks everybody for your time, and I really appreciate you joining us today. All right, thanks everybody. Have a great rest of the day.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.